It was on July 20th, 1969 that man first set foot on the moon. And as Neil Armstrong took his first steps across the lunar surface, he uttered one of the most iconic phrases in human history. "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." These words perfectly encapsulated the incredible achievement that had just taken place. A giant leap for mankind, but the story of how man conquered the moon is not one that ended with Neil Armstrong's first steps on the lunar surface. It's a story that began many years before and continued long after. For it was only by taking countless small steps leading up to and following Armstrong's giant leap that we were able to accomplish this monumental task. So let's take a journey through time and explore the story of humanity's greatest achievement, the space program, and those brave souls who dared to dream of and then conquer the moon. The space program was born out of the ashes of World War II and the early years of the Cold War. In the aftermath of the war, the world was divided into two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. And these two superpowers engaged in an intense rivalry that stretched from Earth to the stars. As the Soviets launched Sputnik, the first artificial satellite, into orbit in 1957, the Americans realized that they were falling behind in the race for supremacy. President Eisenhower responded by creating the Advanced Research Projects Agency, which would later become NASA. And with the launch of Explorer 1, the first American satellite, the space race was officially on. The Mercury program was NASA's first human spaceflight program, and it was designed to put an American astronaut into orbit around the Earth. On May 5, 1961, Alan Shepard became the first American to reach space. But it was the Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin who became the first human to orbit the Earth on April 12, 1961. Despite the setback, the Americans were undeterred and they continued to push forward. The Gemini program was the next step in NASA's human spaceflight program, and it was designed to test the equipment and techniques needed for a moon landing. On March 23, 1965, Gus Grissom and John Young became the first astronauts to fly the Gemini 3 spacecraft and the first to perform a successful rendezvous and docking in space. This was an important milestone on the road to the moon, but it was the Apollo program that was the culmination of all of NASA's efforts. The goal of the Apollo program was nothing less than to land astronauts on the moon and return them safely to Earth. The program consisted of several missions, each building on the success of the last. On December 21, 1968, Frank Borman, Jim Lovett, and Bill Anders became the first astronauts to orbit the moon on Apollo 8. They returned to Earth on December 27, 1968. On April 4, 1969, Apollo 10 lifted off from Cape Kennedy, carrying astronauts Thomas Stafford, John Young, and Eugene Cernan. Their mission was to perform a dress rehearsal for the moon landing, and they successfully did so, coming within just 19 kilometers or 12 miles of the lunar surface. This mission was a resounding success, and it set the stage for what was to come. Finally, on July 16, 1969, Apollo 11 lifted off from Cape Kennedy carrying Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins. Their mission was to land astronauts on the Moon and return them safely to Earth. The journey to the Moon was long and arduous, but the crew of Apollo 11 persevered, and on July 20, 1969, Neil Armstrong became the first human to set foot on the Moon. As Armstrong took his first steps across the lunar surface, he uttered one of the most iconic phrases in human history. "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." These words perfectly encapsulated the incredible achievement that had just taken place. A giant leap for mankind. But the story of how man conquered the Moon is not one that ended with Neil Armstrong's first steps on the lunar surface. It's a story that began many years before and continued long after, for it was only by taking countless small steps leading up to and following Armstrong's giant leap that we were able to accomplish this monumental task. After spending about 2 hours on the Moon's surface, Armstrong and Aldrin re-entered the spacecraft and began their journey back to Earth. The Apollo 11 mission was a resounding success, and it captured the imagination of people around the world. It was a testament to the hard work, dedication, and ingenuity of the thousands of people who had worked on the program. In the years following Apollo 11, NASA continued to send astronauts to the Moon. There were 6 successful moon landings in all, with a total of 12 astronauts walking on the Moon. The last moon landing was Apollo 17 in December of 1972. As the Apollo program wound down, NASA began to turn its attention to other frontiers in space. The Space Shuttle program was launched in the 1980s, and it allowed for the reusable spacecraft to be sent into orbit. The program was designed to be more cost-effective and efficient than the Apollo program, and it enabled a variety of scientific and research missions. One of the most notable achievements of the Space Shuttle program was the construction of the International Space Station. The ISS is a marvel of modern engineering, and it serves as a platform for international cooperation in space. The Space Shuttle program also enabled a number of important scientific and research missions, including the deployment of the Hubble Space Telescope. But the Space Shuttle program came to an end in 2011, and NASA began to focus on new frontiers in space exploration. One of the most exciting of these is the exploration of Mars. NASA has launched a number of missions to Mars, including the twin rovers Spirit and Opportunity, which explored the planet's surface for years. The Curiosity rover, which has been exploring Gale Crater since 2012. And the Perseverance rover, which landed on Mars in 2021 and is searching for signs of ancient life. In addition to these rovers, NASA has also launched a number of orbiters and landers to Mars, including the Phoenix lander, which explored the planet's surface for signs of water and organic molecules, and the InSight lander, which is studying the interior structure of Mars. But the story doesn't end there, for NASA has plans for even greater things in the future. The agency's current plans call for a return to the Moon with the Artemis program, which aims to establish a permanent human presence on the lunar surface. NASA is also planning a mission to Mars that would involve sending astronauts to the planet to explore it for signs of past or present life. The space program has been one of the greatest achievements of human civilization. It has pushed the boundaries of our knowledge and understanding of the universe and has inspired generations of scientists, engineers, and explorers. From the first crewed rockets to the Apollo moon landings and beyond, the story of the space program is a story of human ingenuity and determination. Those who dared to dream of and then conquer the moon were true pioneers. They were the ones who took the small steps that led to the giant leap for mankind. We can all learn from their courage and determination as we strive to achieve our own dreams and goals. The story of the space program is not just a story of the past. It's a story that continues to shape our future. As we look to the stars and dream of exploring the unknown, we are following in the footsteps of those who came before us. And who knows what wonders we will discover next. The space program was made possible by the hard work, dedication, and sacrifice of countless individuals. From the engineers and scientists who designed the rockets and spacecraft to the astronauts who piloted them, every person played an important role in making these missions a success. It was truly a team effort that involved people from all walks of life. But it wasn't just the people behind the scenes who made the space program possible. It was also made possible by the support of governments and the public. In the early days of the space program, there was a lot of opposition to the high costs and risks involved in space exploration. But in the end, the public support was crucial to the program's success. The space program was a time of great optimism and hope for the future. It was a time when people believed that anything was possible and that the future would be filled with wonders. This optimism was reflected in the words of John F. Kennedy, when he challenged the nation to set the goal of landing men on the moon and returning them safely to the Earth. Despite the challenges and setbacks that lay ahead, Kennedy said, "We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do other things not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that is the way man has progressed. That is the way all mankind has progressed." The space program was truly a testament to the human spirit. It showed that if people set their minds to something, they can accomplish anything. It was a time when the world was at its best, and it gave people hope for the future. The space program has left a lasting legacy on the world. It has inspired generations of scientists, engineers, and explorers. And it has shown us that anything is possible if we dare to dream it and work hard to achieve it. The space program was more than just a series of missions to explore the unknown. It was a time when people came together to accomplish something truly special. It was a giant leap for mankind. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more amazing content. Until next time, keep looking up.